Hello, hello, everyone. We're going to continue and we're starting a new module in which we're going to be actually discussing several of the items in Hebrews, chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. The interesting thing about this piece of scripture is it talks about these are elementary teaching. So let's go ahead and get started. So, many believers know the terms of Christianity long before they understand them. Words like saved, justified, sanctified, redeemed, reconciled, predestined, reconciliation, all those different words. And because those words sound familiar, it is really kind of assumed that they're understood. But familiarity is not the same as clarity. So, when the gospel language is unclear, believers often work harder than necessary, question their standing with God, or carry more responsibility than God really ever assigned. And so, this module is designed to connect with that and to correct that, not by adding complexity, but by restoring some order. So these next three classes after this one are not arranged randomly. They follow the same progression that Scripture gives in Hebrews chapter 6, from dependence to formation, which we in our circles would call discipleship, to eternal perspective. So you're not being asked to agree with everything immediately. You are being asked to listen for coherence. And as you move through these classes, notice when there is or where there is a striving, it's replaced with clarity. And where there's fear, it should give way to stability. And where there's confidence, confidence grows without pressure. So the language that you're going to encounter throughout this next module, you'll hear six key gospel terms used intentionally. These are not theological buzzwords. These are structural truths that shape identity and behavior. Whether understood or not, here as you need to really hold them or to consider them as you listen. So those are salvation, and that is about what has been given and what is a gift and what that gift actually changes in your life. And then next one is justification, which it talks about right standing, not self-approval. Sanctification is about growing without shame. The process of discipleship is really just is really sanctification. It's also working out your salvation. There's also a word we're going to look at, reconciliation, which talks about relationship that is restored and a probation extended. So when we come into relationship with God, we have been reconciled the sin that was between us. Jesus took care of that, and then there's a reconciliation that takes place. The scripture also tells us that we now, because of our salvation standing, are reconcilers, ministers of reconciliation. The other word that we're going to talk about in these next three classes, videos, is the word redemption. The value that we're now reclaimed and our purpose has been stored. We've been purchased, we've been redeemed. And so our ownership does not belong to us, it belongs to the Lord. He paid the price for us. We owe our life and diligence truly to Him. Then the last word is a little strange and people get a little freaked out about it, and it's called predestination. And predestination really is about identity and purpose. And we're going to be clarifying it, hopefully without any confusion. So this model is not about debate. It's not about theological camps, or is it about abstract doctrine? It is about understanding how the gospel really works or actually works. And will become stable when we understand this, and our growth becomes sustainable, and obedience becomes a responsive part of who we are. It's no longer forced. It's something that we choose. And so that is the goal of these next three classes. So as you jump in, I pray that you enjoy these and that you will notice that this class was created to help believers stop guessing, to really build that firm foundation. Now we know from our first module that we talked about, Jesus is the person of our foundation. It is based all upon him and all upon what he has done. Now, these are considered in Hebrews chapter 6, the elementary teachings. These are the teachings that we must grasp before we can move forward. So many have no clue about these. And so let's dive in today. And we're not going to lower the standard, but we're going to anchor our faith in truth that can actually be lived from. As you begin, remember this: the gospel is not meant to be managed, it's meant to be understood and trusted. And with that orientation in place, we can now begin where scripture says everything else must start. All right, let's get started by laying the foundation or the elementary teachings that Hebrews says maturity depends on. All right, see you in the next video.